This is the beginning of the third project. This is lesson 1 in project 3. And what the first set of tasks that we need to do is we simply need to go back and find our data from the second end of the second project, bring it up in SPSS, export it in a Stata file, and then move it into the remote desktop area where the virtual lab is. And so we're going to go through this sequence of steps to get us started for project 3. Out on the desktop, I've got a file with the old folder in it, and so you guys will just go get the last version of your file. So let's go take a quick look. I've got it. Select File, Open, go to Data. I've got this, and if I reset this, it's currently on my desktop, right? And so on the desktop, I've got Project 3. In there, I've got this NFIRS data, basic incident, 2012 version 301. Okay, so I'm going to open this up and make sure that everything's still there. Okay, so let's take a quick look. If we run down all the way to the bottom of this thing, we should have 20,000 some odd observations, and we sure enough do. If we go all the way out to the end of this document, we should have some last things. So the last thing that we did was we did that plot with the action code, right? And so if we look at go and look at action, we set the labels up for one was the null category, one was fire control, one was search and rescue, and one was fire rescue hazard, right? And so we did that bar plot. So that was the last thing that we did. This ID value was a continuous measure of the position, so we just sorted them in order of the probability. This is the residual value, and that was the predicted value, and then these were our interactions. So everything we have here, we may want to use that probability for the logit versus the negative binomial that we're going to do. So let's keep those residuals in there, and we'll just know that they were from that logit model process. First thing, let's go and let's save this into a new database format. And so we're just going to click on File, Save As, and down here under the Save As type file, you're going to see, we have Excel in there. We can do it as database files, SAS, if you want to go into that package. But the last ones here are Stata version 8, and so Stata version 8, and I'm just going to select intercooled because that's a little bit bigger package, but I don't think it really matters. I think you can probably do any of them. So let's just save it as Stata version 8, and we're going to save it as NFIRS basic incident 12 version 301, so we'll keep it the same. All right. In this, I'm going to save it to that same project file that I have. Actually, I'm going to save it to the desktop just so that we see it whenever we minimize. And so I'll go back down here. I'll have to select on my desktop and double click on my desktop just to make sure that I'm there. And then I'm going to click Save. And let's minimize this. I had another file open for some reason. If you go to the output document, it went through and data written to that file. Right? It wrote all of those different action variables into that new deal. So let's minimize that. And out here we have, this is our new Stata file. Same name, but just a slightly different format. Now, to use this, we're going to have to import this over into the remote desktop. And so one of the first things that you have to do is you have an H drive out there as a student. You have roughly, half a gig of 500 meg of memory out there. And so in your H drive, you're going to go out there, you're going to enter your password, your OK state password, and it's going to run out there and it's going to connect to a server. Now you have to already be hooked up with this icon up here, which is the Cisco AnyConnect. That's your VPN, and so the VPN's got to be open, and you have to go out to your H drive, and it should be out there working to resolve my alias, and this thing should pull up. In the meantime, I'm going to pause. Oh, no need to pause because it just came up. Okay. So out there, I've got a couple menus in my H drive. As you see, I've got kind of project 2 out there already. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to, actually, I'm not even going to work with these. I'm going to go and create a new folder by itself, standalone, and I'm just going to call it project lowercase project 3. Okay, so I've got project 3, and I'm simply going to grab that Stata file that I have, and I'm going to move that right into project 3. Okay, it should transfer over. You're going to see this thing pop up, and it's going to move some of that data over. And it takes a bit. I will pause now. So now, with that completed in my project 3 file, I've got NFIRS data, and it's my version 3, but the last extension is .dta. DTA files are Stata files, essentially. So that's what we're going to be looking for. So good, we've got this done. Got to convert it into the right format. We've got it out there on my H drive so that I can go look for it. I am going to minimize that, and then I'm going to go look for my remote desktop. Now, if you guys are mostly using Microsoft, it's going to be a lot easier, actually, because I don't think there's as many conflicts as there is with Apple. So mine works through this application, and it works through something called Microsoft Remote Desktop. I click on that, and I've already got it. Kind of established. It actually took the head of IT for arts and sciences to figure out how to do this. It was really complicated. I'm going to double click on that, and it's going to take me into this new virtual lab, which you guys have been working, most of you guys have been working with all semester. So continue here. It's going to connect. And I'm going to go up here and kind of minimize this window a little bit so that we can realize that Microsoft Remote Desktop is just another function down here, right? So I'll minimize all this stuff. And so I have applications. And then this is the old SPSS package. This is the remote desktop. Okay. Now, within remote desktop, we're going to have Stata IC intercooled 11. So we saved it as Stata IC version 8. So let's go ahead and click this monster open. First thing you have to do, and this is really important because we're working with about 20,000 observations, and we're going to be doing some fairly advanced models, and so it requires some memory allocation. And so you see set memory up here. Currently it's only got 10 megabytes, and 10 megabytes gets jammed up almost immediately. So the first thing I want you to do is go in here, set memory. You can do set memory or just set mem, the first 3 letters, and then put 1 gig, 1 G. And so if you click click return, you'll get set memory. It'll give you the indication, and it set all that K out there in memory. So we got a big bunch of memory that we can work with now. The next thing that we need to do is let's go find our data. Our data is actually out here in this H drive. This is it right over here. So let's just click OK. And let's just go all the way to the top. So let's go to, I'm going to go to the desktop. I'm going to go to the H drive. And in there I've got my 3 different files. This one's pols6123, which has got some stuff from project 2. This one's the Windows. I don't really know what that file is. But this is the project 3 file that we just created. And so this is the Stata file. And let's click it OK, and let's open. And you'll see the Stata has a command window here. It has a variable window here. It has a history of the commands that you do up here. And then this is the actual command instruction window. To get to the data, you go to click on data and data editor. And so you'll just click on that and you bring up the data separately. So if you look at this, we've got the same thing that we did before. Looks all about the same. The only thing is action came in under the label, and so it came in categorically, so that's a little bit different. But if we go down to the bottom, we've got our 20,653 observations. So it looks like everything came in pretty good. And we are essentially ready to do the second set of models. I'm going to leave off there. We're going to pick up in lesson 2, and we'll set up a log file. I want to go back and pick up and show you one of the specification errors that I made in lesson 2, and I'll show you how and why that was wrong. And then we'll continue on with what we need to do for lesson 3.